Is it?
Leave as is, yes.
Okay.
Again, the update to public facilities was to add back in recreational facilities. When you sent forward, cross that out, we're asking to add it back in. And then there's a continuation of both public facilities and private under the scheduled land use categories.
Okay, I don't have any problem with that.
And since we're on Article 2, there's another note in the scheduled land use under business general. There's B. There's a term used such as. This is on page 4. And we want to change the such as to including but not limited. And that's in the notes. Instead of jumping back when we get there, I can start it pointing out now.
Well, I don't like such as.
Yeah.
I like including but not limited to, even less.
Okay.
So, if somebody has an objection, I just leave that as is.
Okay.
No change, and then let's address how we should actually handle the general businesses.
Okay.
Because with the such as, we're giving examples.
Suggestions.
Not suggestions, just examples of what would be considered a business. But with the including but not limited to, that's kind of alluding to the fact that there's an actual list of things, but we're not going to tell you what it is. So we either have to make it very general or make a full, concise list of, okay, you know, what are going to be acceptable general businesses that we want to deal with.
Okay.
My opinion, take it or leave it. For what it's worth, just throwing that out there. So like I said, anything that we're not sure about, I would just assume see it stay as it was, and then readdress it in a little more in depth after the fact. Because like I said, this I don't think is going to be everything we've done here is going to be all inclusive, and that it's going to take care of everything, but it's going to take care of 90% of the things that aren't an issue, things that have to be done. So now when you go back and we've got all the things that really aren't being questioned, now we can go back and take these small bites and, you know, tweak them and, you know, and get them done where we really feel comfortable with them.
Yes, sir. Okay. So that concludes the definition side. Then if we go to the schedule of uses, which is under Article 4A. So I'm going to go in order of the list that was provided.
Yeah, you might as well go in, easier for us to follow.
Okay. Do you have a copy of this sheet, the recommendation sheet?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll go in order so that the paging makes sense. So the first one is to take one of the reserved spaces on page 6 and make a public facilities and make that permitted across the board. And that, with discussion with Dave, we have no real right to zone for that. We want to put it and show it exclusively that it's permitted across the board to remove any question. So now we'll have a line item that says public facilities, and then it's permitted in all areas.
That would seem to make sense. Any comments to the contrary, or does anyone have anything you'd like to add to that? Do you want to get that into the draft, the final draft version, PJ?
Yeah, I'm jumping back and forth from the district schedule to recommendations here, trying to make sure things are lining up. We're gonna have to rework these, in the next 2 weeks. If we close this public hearing, we're gonna have to rework this all in the next 2 weeks in the final form here.
Right.
Because this is hard enough to follow.
Yeah. That was number one. If you want me to keep going, or you want me to stay on number one?
You just keep going.
Okay. Number two, this talks about, there's two things that I want to point out with this one. One is in the version that you guys, because it was brought up in the last meeting, in the version that was submitted from the trustees, the footnote 2, B1 district permitted main and conditional uses are allowed in I1 was struck out. So we no longer have that footnote in there. We didn't have any objection to that, but it was brought up before that if it's permitted in B1, you get it in I1, but removing that footnote takes away that together. So if you see where something's in B1 and no longer in I1, it's because it follows that footnote being removed now in your version. So just as a reference point. The second thing was in the C11 under retail services, number 11. We're moving the note in completely enclosed buildings, see definition, to a footnote. I don't think that should be carried in that part of the body, so it's just moving it to a footnote.
No, they're in the public hearing.
Okay. Number 3, under dwelling unit, so 31. We were going to permit that in B1A and B2. But there's no real conditions because you drive that condition. Any questions? I'll keep going.
You comment on that, Fred?
There was, and I can think of a couple instances going on right now, quite a few smaller lots in that B1A and B2. So if that's permitted, there'd be an acreage issue on a lot of property. I think that's why we took those out in the first place at one point. That's why we took residential out in the first place, is what I'm thinking. You know, your logic's right, but the conditions there, I think, is what, or not conditions, I don't want to use that word.
Too soon.
The lot size. Yeah, the lot sizes.
Right.
Or what was the reason that those became conditional.
Yeah, so
That was when we went from 1.5 acre lots to the 2 and 3 acre lots, I think is when that happened. Or pretty close to that. Just thinking
But
out
they're gonna be
loud.
grandfathered in for residential, whatever size they were originally.
Yeah, yeah, and I suppose septic systems are capable of working on a smaller lot these days too, but I think that was the logic behind it. And I don't know, I'm just kinda thinking out loud, Todd, that's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah, so we did talk briefly about that, and that's where the thought process around that is if you permit it, yet the lot they had, and again, Dave's here, you can speak to, or you guys from your experience, if somebody had a lot that they couldn't meet the conditions to put a property on, to build a house or put something on, they then would have to come for a variance for that property. Even though it was permitted, the lot in itself still has to meet the conditions to allow you to put it on. So we weren't really changing it, it was just.
So they'd have to come for a variance anyway.
Right, the thought was if you did have a lot in those areas that you could put and meet all the conditions, you could just build it without having to come for conditions and pay the fee for that. So, again, I use your guys' knowledge and history, that was the rationale that we were thinking through.
Would you feel more comfortable with, PJ? Leaving it the way it was based on the history we know of it, and then readdress the issue, just so we don't hold up the remainder of the amendment?
Yeah, I don't think I'd hold up the whole amendment over it because, as you said, there's still gonna be a
They have to get they have to meet
certain control. And honestly, the technology is better now than it was 20-some years ago or 25 years ago. And we are sewered there, so.
I was going to say, I think that these areas are sewered under 208 map.
Yeah, we are sewered there.
Okay, go ahead, and I guess we can put that in then as amended, Fred. The final draft.
This is Greek to me. I don't want to know it.
What do you got next?
Then next is number 4, which is under C1. We wanted to, for retail and completely enclosed buildings, permit in E4, office light industrial, and then leave it conditional in I1.
So basically, we're going back to the original for the B4, which would be permitted.
But leaving conditional in
He's putting conditional instead of not permitted, and
Second.
any problems with that?
No, I don't.
So we're going to allow in the B4, which is light industrial, it's permitted, but in the general industrial, it's conditional.
Yeah.
What's the,
No, in the, yeah, so it's conditional in general.
so what's the differentiation? Why would it be P and B4 and C and I1 when they're both industrial? I understand there's some differences in terms of uses, but it's still industrial.
Yep, so because it was office, and I'd have to go back to the,
B4 is office and light industrial.
right, we thought some retail wasn't a problem, it wasn't meant to be a full industrial park. But the idea was, I1 was, and also the other, coming down, we do move restaurants into the I1 to support those businesses in those areas. And not that it's not permitted, but just to make it conditional, we put conditional on what kind of retail we allow in there to support the industrial, industry there.
Yeah.
So if you look out some of the, and especially the land around the industrial area, the thought was there could be supporting businesses around to help build up that area. And that's why some of those changes were made or requested.
Well, I think there's a very narrow line between light industrial and general industrial. So I can see that for those particular things, we may want to make them both conditional for B4 and I1. Because we're not leaving ourselves open.
Okay. All right.
I think conditional would give us the, as opposed to just not saying it's not permitted.
I agree it should be conditional. But before we were thinking we're permitted, but you want to keep it conditional, that's correct.
Like I said, there's just too thin a line between the two.
Yep.
So, comments?
No, I think we stay there. I think we keep that as it is there. I don't think we change that.
The next one was 6, so C6, drive-through facilities. We had not permitted under I1. We had thought that it should be permitted, or you could at a minimum go to conditional. We saw facilities that would be an industrial that might have a drive-through in which they would deliver and drop off goods to a consumer as part of their industrial facility. One thing that came to us was, sometimes like Connecticut has salt, you drive through, you pick up your salt, you put it in your car, you drive out. That's considered a drive-through in that operation, and we thought a not permitted denied that capability if an industrial situation was like that. So we thought the drive-through should be allowed. Could be conditional if you felt, but we said permitted. We also have it permitted in the, in which was changed to permitted in the light.
I think, okay, I would agree that, put that as conditional also. As opposed to not permitted. Because in that particular, just the example I know there are a number of industrial companies I deal with where you basically end up picking things up, small nuts and bolts. There's a number of companies that are like that with will calls.
Right.
So I think if we make it conditional, then we can basically look at each application to make sure that we can confirm that it's not going to interfere with any traffic flow or anything else.
Yeah, I think the example he gave kind of says right there,
That's a very
that would
specific.
fit a condition. Yeah, that's kind of condition would I think would be looked upon highly. So, but there are some that wouldn't.
Doesn't that kind of correlate what is being suggested up above in retail and completely enclosed buildings conditional? So there's going to be conditional for that in I1. Wouldn't drive-through be conditional also?
It's kind of the same thing, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, kind of in the same vein, if you want.
Yep, it's kind of the same thing.
Okay, Then C10, which is restaurants, we moved to, move that to permitted in I1. Again, a couple of reasons. One is the office light industrial did have permitted in the latest version, and to support the industry, if there's a small sandwich shop that wanted to be there to support the industries, so the workers could have a restaurant, we didn't see that as a deterrent to the industrial area. Actually be in support of the industrial area to allow people to have potentially a restaurant.
Well, what you just said could be done if it were conditional, but if it's permitted, you couldn't limit it to just those employees, could you?
No, but would that be a bad thing to help support that restaurant? It might not be enough to support just the park itself, right?
I'm just saying, though, what you just indicated is not shown as such here in the schedule. It's not so limited to the industrial use.
Yeah, well, again, yeah, I agree, it is not an industrial use. I can see where you're going with this, you know, and it'd be a perfect place, you know, in the middle of an industrial zone, have a little sandwich shop. And ideally, yeah, the people who work there are gonna go over to the sandwich shop. But this doesn't say anything about sandwich shops. Okay, this wouldn't preclude a regular giant restaurant from being put in there. That wouldn't really be conducive in that atmosphere. Why anybody would want to put a big nice restaurant in the middle of an industrial area, who knows? But I think not permitted is safer, conditional. I don't know, what do you guys think? I can see where they're going with this.
Yeah, well, the fact that we permit them everywhere else, every other commercial district says we're not really being exclusive.
Well, okay, you know, if you're working backwards, allowing industrial applications in an area designed for restaurants would probably be detrimental. I can't see anything detrimental in having a restaurant in an industrial area. The only thing that may be detrimental is to the people who put it there in the first place. Well,
I agree. I can think of two examples where there are restaurants in industrial zone areas. One would be in Troy. Blazing Bill's is on an industrial lot in an industrial park, although it does face the road, the main road. And in Bainbridge, I believe there's a winery that's in
Sapphire
Knowles or
Creek.
somewhere in that
Right.
area.
Sapphire Creek is the same.
so would you just
So I'm not gonna
go
argue.
with permitted?
I'd see it. I'd do conditional myself.
Conditional, just so we can see what they're gonna do?
Yeah, because you're gonna have to deal with parking and everything else, but that probably needs to be.
Okay,
Just for clarification, Fred,
pardon me?
just for clarification.
Okay,
Blazing Bill's
all right.
is
So
there
let's-
as a use variance.
They have a
Oh,
use
they have a
variance.
use variance?
Blazing Bill's is there for a use variance.
Okay.
Because in Troy, a restaurant's not allowed in an industrial zone.
Gotcha.
And Sapphire Creek is there because Knowles Industrial Park, which that's a part of, is under an old consent judgment entry. So they're under zoning from way back in time.
Different circumstances.
Just clarification, that's all. I'm not speaking to the concept of restaurant per se in an industrial zone. I'm just indicating what those
Why
townships
they're
did.
there.
That's all.
So you think making it a conditional use would be prudent, reasonable?
Well, then we have more controls.
I mean, you know, better than not permitting it at all. Okay, so I think we have consensus on having restaurants as a conditional use in the industrial area.
Okay.
Got anything else?
Yep, unfortunately, sorry to keep going. So, in general business, so 7 permitted in B4. Right now, it's not permitted, so no general business. And based on the conversation I'm hearing in the, where I think you guys are your baseline versus maybe where our baseline was, probably conditional would be better served, but we did move to permitted. It was permitted everywhere. Again, as we looked at where the area was and also the surrounding, we felt that general business in that area would help support the light industrial. If you read through what that would mean. So, but I would probably say that permitting is probably too far, but maybe conditional is something that should be considered. And again, if that's too much at this time, we can come back with that request.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to just give them blank slate, say, yeah, you can general businesses anywhere.
Yeah, I would have to go back and look at the definition on there as well, you know. Because that's a drastic change.
Dave, can I get your opinion on, okay, I'd say permitted is out. Again, stay with the not permitted or go with conditional?
The hesitation is, Mike, looking at the purpose and intent behind B4 being office and light industrial, I'm not sure if it's a good fit or not. I think it might deserve some more review. That's all. And I'm not suggesting either that the zoning commission didn't do their homework. Didn't mean to say that. But it's kind of a big step, I think.
I think any of them is an overlap.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't want to go permitted. I would consider conditional, because there are, like I said, you got gray areas between the business and the industrial, light industrial. That's what I would be leaning toward.
Again, looking up above, we went with conditional for retail. So, right?
Yeah.
Up above in B4.
Yes.
Switch
Retail,
that from permitted to conditional. So maybe that's the trend we're on. So conditional, if you want to consider that.
Well, I said, you know, in the areas that don't have a lot of experience with, if we don't know how they're gonna go, I would still like to have some control over those. Or to at least be able to see, you know, what's going on and be able to work with the people up front before they get themselves too far afield. Okay, so that's my recommendation, is to go with general businesses as conditional in D4 and I1. Anybody got any objections?
No, I'm actually under the next one, because I agree with you on that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, so you're suggesting C in both?
Yes, for general businesses, it'll be conditional in D4 and I1.
Okay.
Okay, Todd, what's
Yep.
next?
C13, the child daycare, in B2, we went to not permitted.
What was the thinking there?
So, based on the real estate, what was trying to be done with the retail district, I just felt that it wasn't a close fit, and you didn't want to have a mixed childcare in there. There are other zoning areas adjacent nearby that could be for childcare, but if you ever wanted to put in a walkway kind of thing, that wasn't what that area was being laid out to be, so we didn't think it was trying to shoehorn a child care facility into that area. Would sort of change that dynamic a little. And don't get me wrong, I have kids, so child care is not a bad thing. It just didn't seem like the right area to be, where you'd have a lot of kids in an area, high traffic type of situation.
It is a traffic situation there.
It just didn't seem like it was a good fit for what being developed into the area. Again, with traffic and other conditions and that kind of stuff. And there's plenty of other real estate around there.
Yeah.
It's not, super excluding.
Realistically, those, once again, we're back to those small lots we were talking about before. Most childcare things now, they do fairly big size, large size outdoor play yards and stuff. I don't know that I'd want to do a conditional use thing there either, Like, that's,
Just,
yeah, they may be right on, but I think that might be right on this one. Mostly because the lots in that B2 just don't fit that use, by and large.
Yep.
you wanna
Uh,
just leave them conditional, or what do we wanna do with that? What do we,
Is there logic in not permitting it there and it's conditional everywhere else?
I think I'd be on the same track as Todd indicated. Additionally, there are a lot of state of Ohio criteria on child daycare facilities. They have to be licensed, you know that, through the state. So they do have things such as stringent requirements on fencing for outside play areas. So I don't know if these, again, being such small parcels
Those are
in
small
there,
parcels. Yeah.
could that really work, with the fencing and the other things that you have to meet under the state licensing requirements? I don't know, I haven't studied it that much, but I kind of think it's.
but basically, as opposed to us saying, hey, we don't think this lot is right, if they have that lot and they can pass all the state requirements for it, then I wouldn't see a problem with
It's
it.
another way of looking at it, again, if they can meet those state requirements, which I think is a condition in your book too, currently, that they have to have a license of the state, so.
So to me, it goes to some of those secondary items of traffic flow into that area, people dropping things on and off, what other type of businesses are around there.
I guess my wife having owned a child care center, my only concern in that area is gonna be traffic.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 2 times a day at least, in the morning and in the evening. We're gonna have a lot of people coming in and out.
Certainly most of it in a small window.
Probably about the time that school buses are gonna be going down the road too.
But it's not permitted in those districts. If somebody feels that strongly about it, they can go for a variance.
Yeah, there's a reason we called that, or it was called, it wasn't this board, but village retail, the reason they called it that is because those are small tight lots at a major intersection. I tend to agree with that.
Okay, so
Because everything else is available to them.
Yeah. So your recommendation would be not permitted in B2 and B3?
Our original recommendation was just in B2, just in the village retail.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll go with that.
Next was bed and breakfast, so this is in D1. And currently we have conditional under B1A and B2. That was passed from the two. Our recommendation was to allow that to be permitted. The rationale was around, we tried to go through and figure out what conditions could be placed on it, and whether we thought that was, we could come up with good logical conditions that would be outlined. And at the time, we didn't find good conditions around bed and breakfasts that we'd have to outline, because there are things as just running the business, because it, you know, as the bed and breakfast, they would have the additional criteria they'd have to meet. So the conditions we were gonna think of putting on were already gonna be needed because of its classification as a bed and breakfast. Now, it might be that same thing, you wanna know what's going on in there prior to, so you wanna keep it conditional, but that was the rationale.
Well, again, going with the, where we're going with the other ones, I'd rather have the control, leave it conditional.
Sure.
This also allows the township to go back and periodically review, you know, because a conditional use permit is generally 3 to 5 years, something like that. So it comes
Right.
back for renewal.
Okay, so we'll leave that as is.
Okay.
Well, and there's some recent history that,
Yeah, that leaves us.
public
leaves it-
safety is kind of part of that angle, you know.
Okay. E3, auto sales. We thought that in B3 and B4, that should be conditional. Currently, auto sales are not available in the retail motor district. They're not permitted. And part of the, in B4, we have repair, service stations, car washes permitted in B4, but not the sale. So again, in B3, B4 was going to conditional.
Yeah, I don't know how well car sales fits with the concept of village retail district.
Well, so we were leaving it not permitted in B2.
Yeah, yeah.
So just in B3 and B4.
B3 and B4.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree, I would agree with you, village retail would be a bad situation for that.
Okay, yeah, I'd say conditional. As long as we can control those.
Right. Okay. That was it for 4A. And the next, is 4A09. And we're almost at the end, so.
Could we go back just a second on automobile sales?
Yes, please do.
Is that automobile only then? In other words, we're not talking about trucks or equipment sales or anything like that, we're just automobiles, is that what that means?
Well, I would say,
I don't know, I don't have the definition in front of me, there's probably a definition in the book, in the definition chapter.
Do you have that, Todd?
Yeah, it says, the use of any building, lot, or other premises for the display and sale, lease, or rental of new or used automobiles, and which may include the display and sale, lease, or rental of new or used motorcycles, light trucks, vans, trailers, or recreational vehicles.
Is that what the board had in mind? I mean, it's more than automobile.
well, if you give it another 3 years, the way the SUV market's going, there are gonna be no more automobiles. So, yeah, I think we have to have, SUVs, small pickup trucks. Okay, now, we have to think we're gonna have to define in there, be more specific. Can't just say trucks, because then you'll have 18-wheelers being sold down there. What I would tend to go with right now is to leave that as is.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot more work that has to be going in defining exactly what we're going to allow. Again, specifically, what type of vehicles. And we may have to get, specific on, light trucks versus, you get a half ton, then you get a 3/4 ton, then you got 1 ton, then you get 1 ton dually, and also, there's this transition. Right. So we have to say, where are we gonna break that? So,
we've got it, with zoning board of appeals, where, a definition of an auto garage right now is kind of being debated. I know in years past, we've tended to not change our resolution if there was a case pending that was in that gray area. And, over here.
yeah,
And, that, well, I can tell you where that advice came from too. But I think I kinda wanna stick with that theory.
stick with what we've got, and then let's readdress, the other issues on it at a later date. So we'll leave this, and that'll be your next project.
Sounds good. Do you, just speaking of that, because it is already conditional. Although it's not, it's not conditional in the proposal under B1A. To me, if I think where B3 is, and here where B1A is, maybe to that point, if we're gonna take it up, maybe B1A should be not permitted as well to go along with that, what you're just saying. I don't know. It's just a thought, as right now, that is a change that is part of the proposal from the original.
Yeah,
So I wonder if you want to go back on that one as well to say.
I'm gonna say, yeah, I would like to work on that little section of this. Yes, I agree.
Okay. That way, to your point, nothing changes in the book.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I'll go quick. There's, in Schedule 4A 09.09, on the parking requirements, hospitals, are not permitted in B3 and I1. So for consistency, just remove them as not permitted in the parking side.
Yeah.
And same thing for self-storage, not permitted in B3. So number 5, just make that not permitted, just for consistency. So no changes to those, except for consistency, so that if it's not permitted in a particular area, then we don't show a parking spot in another area.
Any problems with that?
No.
That's the end. I appreciate the time to explain that in great detail in the conversation.
Okay, all right.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I want to clarify the parking under child daycare, B2. It's not going to be allowed in village retail, right?
You'd have to speak up between the mask and my bad hearing.
I'm sorry, Mike.
I'm getting old. I didn't bring my hearing aid.
I'm getting old too, so. The B2, the parking for child daycare, the B2, should that be deleted?
Yeah, you're right. It should be deleted.
Yep. Did you hear me? Do you see what I'm saying there, Mike?
Yeah, I think that's,
Under B2, that ought to be, the parking should be deleted for child daycare, since we're deleting child daycare from B2.
Good catch, Dave. Yeah.
yeah, that's what, my note here had is not permitted.
So go back to,
Yep. Right here.
Anything else? Okay, BJ, did you?
Well, I don't know about you, but I was working between two different
Well, again,
suggestion pages and the zoning commission recommendations from,
yeah. So, yeah, I would also, I'd like to continue this until
I think so, we'll get it all.
our next
in one.
meeting. And again, I want to see the final draft of everything we discussed.
And I do think after tonight, if there's any further changes or suggestions, it's gonna be limited, very, very, very limited. It's gonna be
Yeah.
nothing like this.
I don't want to see any further changes other than what we've discussed here. This is going to call this, getting us the final draft for the next meeting.
Yeah,
And if you can get us the final draft, possibly a few days before the meeting so we can actually go through it, that would be really swell.
and I'd like to think we could have a real 15-minute public hearing.
yeah.
Yeah.
You can use Nancy.
No.
Yeah, no, I'm not letting her, I'm not letting
I
her
was
use
just
this.
thinking I have nothing to do with this one.
Okay, so that's a motion to
Continue.
continue the public hearing until, that'll be what, May 3rd, meeting on May 3rd. And let's have that at 7 o'clock.
Okay, all right, I'll second that.
John,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Okay. All right, then we can start the regular meeting. Jennifer Moore, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Jennifer is our guest today. And she is the KCE Director. And from what I heard, you're just gonna come in and let us know what's going on.
Yeah, I just wanted to stop by because we weathered the pandemic and I kind of wanted to give you guys an update. We so appreciate your support. With the dollar residents, we received that, last month. So I called Nancy and said I just wanted to stop by and kind of give you guys an update of where we are and how we're moving forward. When the pandemic hit, we ended up giving back $108,000. Well, no, we had at our high water mark $108,000 on account for people that were had signed up for programs, and we couldn't satisfy what they signed up for. So, I was trying through those. We closed down March 15th, and we did not open up for baseball until Governor DeWine allowed us to. May 26th is when we first came back. So our fixed cost and everything going on, we got real close to that 108 number, because my big thing is I really wanted to have whatever money we had in the bank, I could satisfy that money back to the families if the doors closed. Which we were wringing our hands there for a little bit. Getting ready, I laid off the staff. We lowered my income, just kind of hunkered down there for a while. Anyways, Governor DeWine opened up in May for baseball, and I sent an email out, calling for players. Turned off the computer because, you don't know. This whole thing has been very... I stupidly said January of last year, of 2020, to my husband, this is such an easy job, I'm coasting to retirement. So everything's different. Everything is different.
Yeah, it looked like a pandemic to throw a wrench in the works.
Anyways, so we now currently have only $23,000 left in account credit, about $190,000 in the bank, and we roared back strong, really strong. Our first, just making people feel comfortable, making sure the health department felt comfortable with what we were doing. You have in the whole pandemic, and we still are dealing with this group of people feel one way about it, and this group of people feeling the other way about it, and me standing in the middle saying, I am not going to change what the health department has recommended. We're going to do it exactly down the line. I know you want me to require the players to wear masks. Health department doesn't require that. I know you don't want me to make anybody wear a mask, parent B, but the health department requires all parents and coaches to do so. So, just kind of going through all that. And how to enter the building, how to exit the building, all of that. And, it was pretty well received. We had, tons of people come out and play baseball. We were very lucky to have the school allow us to use the gyms only on the weekends, which we did. They just opened up for us to start practicing during the week about 3 weeks ago. So that was tremendous. We're just waiting. And now our big argument is we've got parents that want us to require people to get vaccinated. And again, same thing. I'm only going to do what Governor DeWine and the health department makes me do. I'm not going to step right or left about that, nor will I discuss it with anybody.
Yeah, it's not your job.
It's not my job. So, anyways, but with that being said, as our seniors start getting vaccinated, they're coming back, exercising. Some of our instructors are back. So it's starting to feel like it's getting back to normal. There has been a few things I call COVID silver linings that we're going to change for what we do and how we allow it. Some of the things that were going on, like every sibling and their brother would come and run around in the hallway. Well, that stopped. And we're going to keep that one stopped. That was a good one. But, so I just wanted to touch base and just say, Auburn has always been a great partner, always supported KCE. And we lived. And so you know, we would do a few things differently if, God forbid, we have another close down. But we definitely lived and learned. And
Well, if you survive this one, I can't imagine
I know.
too much other being thrown at you that was worse than this.
Knock on wood.
But hey, it's still early in the year.
it's early. Yeah, so, you know, just if you guys have any complaints, that park that you guys have built up there is the premier park in the district. I mean, it's just, people will come up, we've had some other, well, Chagrin always comes up and plays flag. And, now that you got the pavilion up there, the playground's tremendous, everything. It is the grass is tremendous, and somebody told me there's a well going up there now.
We have a well in there.
We have water.
So there's water. I'm like, it's
Non-potable.
It's really not for public use yet.
Yeah. but-
It's not potable water and you won't be able to use it, but we got water.
We
We
can
can
use
water.
it for
we can
water
in the grass?
We can water
All right.
grass, it was a COVID thing.
We can
We
use it
said
for
it's for
cleaning.
cleaning.
yeah.
Yeah, we thought having water would be a good thing for COVID sanitizing purposes.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. Every year something gets added to that park.
Yeah, that's been the goal.
And
the whole
it's just,
way. Yeah.
I just remember standing in there and, you know, swamp water with the surveyors, you know,
Yeah.
and it just, this is tremendous. How much farther playing field do we have going? I mean, are we all the way to our
Oh, no.
No.
We can do, everything, south of the tree line, really,
Yeah.
is available to us. There was a drawing, we had some drawing once for, baseball field.
yeah.
To
We were
the
gonna-
to the south and east end, I think it was gonna be. And then we
Something
can go,
the
yeah, we
opposite.
can do pretty much anything to the west.
Yeah.
There's some drainage issues, but we can do probably a field before we even get into those.
The biggest thing, and I know, I think I talked to PJ about it, is parking. You can put as many fields as you
Yeah,
want,
and-
but
and
I can't do
actually,
anything until the parking is.
You know, with the COVID thing going on, it was difficult to walk and chew gum at the same
Oh,
time. But we've got a little maybe transaction, theoretical anyway. There's going to have to be a third party involved. Maybe make some of that proposed parking that John was working on a year or so ago, that maybe we can actually get towards that. We've got to get some ducks in a row first, but.
Well, we've been right now, like, for the, I would like to put in a couple of soccer fields up there, and there's room to have lacrosse there and to have the soccer field, so we're looking into purchasing goals and things like that, but it's a kind of, you know, and it's still fine in the way for parking, because we would put the soccer, it would be for just weekend soccer, whereas lacrosse is weekdays. So it's just it's a flow thing. It's not a big deal, but there's certainly enough room for at least one or two more soccer fields. Baseball is dying. I mean, I'm just telling you that right now. It is a dying sport.
It's sad, yeah.
It's so
You
sad.
think of park, you think of baseball field.
Yeah, and we have 400 and some kids playing soccer right now, and it's crazy. But I'm always hoping that we can revive baseball, you know. But it's just not catching on. I have, we'll have a ton of kids playing t-ball, and then right now I have 6 or 8 teams of coach pitch boys, for instance. 10 years ago, that was 12 to 14. I have one 11-year-old team.
Wow.
And when my son played 15 years ago, oh my gosh, 20 years ago, it was like 8 to 10 teams. So it's just one of those things that you got to kind of weigh whether or not, I mean, right now we have these 2 fields here.
Which I was just going to say, we got to give that guy a big attaboy, you know.
Yeah, he's
for
been
the
great.
The church over there.
Pastor Ron's been great.
They have kept those fields. I
No,
think,
they
top
haven't.
shelf.
I've kept those
You've
fields.
kept those fields? Okay.
So, and I'm not going to take that away. He's been very accommodating, whatever we want. He allows us to do what we want with those fields. I mean, if we would have let them, the fence got nasty, so he requested us to take that out. But he's been tremendous allowing us. He works really well. Pass Brown's great.
It looks good over there.
Yeah, it looks
It
really
looks
great.
good.
And it's a great little park. We had our minors championship game last year. And it was, we did the national anthem, we brought in an ice cream truck, and it was awesome because people were in the pandemic. So, I mean, I had the kids hold the flag. My little kid, I'm like, your most important thing, do not let this touch the ground. So I was these little 8-year-olds standing there like this, tiptoeing. So a picture, it's really funny. But we sang the national anthem and they started chanting USA. It was awesome.
Nice.
You know, so I'm hoping for a baseball revival, but I'm not seeing it. So, you know, I don't know how much money you want to spend in that, because we do have the 3 parks in River Road, these 2 parks, and then there's 3 full fields and at the school, and then Auburn, Settlers Park.
Well, I think the theory was always that we were gonna do stuff like that as needed. So, yeah, baseball wouldn't be high on the list anymore.
And it's super
But
expensive to
parking
put one
seems
in.
to be like, that's gonna be, if there's more fields, there's gotta be more parking.
Right,
So, yeah.
right. So like I said, I just, you know, miss coming out and listening to all this stuff. It's awesome. How you doing, John?
Good.
You doing all right?
We do have enough grass that's already planted for 2 more fields.
Yeah.
So,
And we were up there when we were putting the,
going south. So there's a lot of unused grass right now still.
yeah. And it's all playable, and I'm kind of mixing my years together. I know we were staying
Yeah,
off
no,
of it.
It's all playable.
All right, sweet.
It's all playable. It's playable. I mean, it's all that deep-rooted turf. So that would everything that's green up there, other than when you go west of, I think it's about 50 or 60 feet on the west side of that field. The main, what you might call the main field, the field across from the Parker building. That's all playable.
All right. Well, I think what I'm going to have us do for the fall is rotate off the fields we've been playing and push them out a little bit, so we're not, because you know we're always play west of the Parker building. That field kind of is more beat, so I think we're going to push towards a little bit more west just to rotate those fields, and we'll start doing that in the fall. Move them around a little bit just to protect that area a little bit. So, I mean, it drains well. It's just tremendous. So, it's a great park. Are you doing your party? Do you know?
I don't think that we are this year. We did notice, Emmerich and I were up there the other day when we were looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
We did notice that all your nets are under the Parkerville,
Yeah, they might have moved them there. Is that bad?
well, everybody keeps moving the picnic tables out, and then they put all the nets in. So I don't know. I think the parents just show up and they want to sit in the sun. And instead of taking the tables that are already out in the sun and moving them where they want, they keep moving them out of the pad, out of the building.
Out of the pavilion that's
Yeah,
built?
not the pavilion.
But
Nobody's
underneath the
touching that
overhead,
yet.
yeah.
But the Parker building, yeah.
You want them to leave the picnic tables where they are?
Yeah, I think we're gonna take care of that. I think we're gonna fasten them in.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and there are still enough in the grass that they can move those anywhere they want.
Right,
But
right.
it just, we're telling people that if the pavilion's rented, there's always the Parker building with the picnic tables that they can use, but if the people keep
Yeah.
pulling them out,
Right.
then.
How are you handling the rentals? That's it's
We
going to be
don't
like
know what
Animal
we're
Hall.
getting into on this.
Yeah.
We think we're
We
finding
are-
it's gonna be more popular than I think we
Yeah.
imagined.
It's a
Yes.
great park. It
Yeah.
really is, and that pavilion is probably the biggest pavilion in the area. I mean, that thing's humongous.
We did a little study around different places and we came up with, we might have undervalued it a little bit as far as rental. But our first year, it's gonna be live and learn, and if we have to adjust it, we will.
Yeah.
But, and you know, the other thing is the COVID thing, so you're supposed to have the 6-foot distancing, so, you know, where if you got a 30-person party, that pretty much fills that building up.
Right,
So-
right. What's the regular capacity of that building, do you know?
No, I don't. Any idea, chief? Is there a capacity in an open building like that?
Yes, there
There
is.
There is?
I don't know what it should be though. I've never calculated, haven't calculated it.
You can take that as an action item, chief.
Probably somewhere in 150 range.
That's big. It's a big building. So, yes, I would assume that it would be hopping.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be.
We're renting it out as one unit. We're not splitting it or anything yet. We're
What
trying
do you
to,
mean split?
like, it's not like you rent half of the building or the other half of the
Oh,
building.
yeah, right.
It's, and we also don't have set hours. It's, you rent it, you get it for the day.
Wow, nice.
I don't think anybody's gonna really be there for 8 hours,
Right.
but just till
But
we,
isn't that a
till we
dawn to
get our
dusk
footing.
park? It is. right?
It is, it's a dawn to dusk, so yeah. So I've been taking the reservations here, and it's,
You guys know you have this humongous airplane
Yeah.
thing going on.
Yeah.
Pat enjoys it when he lines all the fields up there. They're
Yeah.
out there, and it's a healthy club.
yeah.
There's a ton of people out there. So
Yeah, with no complaints,
No,
nobody's
they're
complaining
very-
about them,
Pat goes out, he's lining, they
Yeah.
move, you know.
yeah.
So it's just nice. So, anyways, that's all I have to say. We made it.
Well,
And
thank you.
with
All
it.
right, well, thank you,
Yeah.
Jennifer, for coming in. We'll let you go now, because we know you probably weren't planning on staying this long.
I got my emails done. Technology, it's awesome.
You're good.
Alrighty, I will
Jennifer.
stop by again. Thank you, thank you.
Good night.
Everybody have a great night.
Bye,
Good night,
Jen.
Jen.
That way's closer to the parking lot,
I'm going this way.
yeah.
Okay. And we have our next guest, Van Wagen and Stephen Santo from Sudsina Associates. And then Wes Kearns and Ryan Callender from Squire, Patton and Boggs. I'm guessing they're all kind of gonna be working in concert together.
Yeah.
So Fred, I'll let you lead this and guide these guys. I've taken the 43 pages that you sent me at 2 o'clock this afternoon and
Nancy sent this.
Nancy sent, so, we had sent these, the prosecutor said that, our bond counsel, she's gonna concede to whatever they,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
She's deferring to Squire Patton Boggs on that.
Okay, so if you wanna do the introductions, Fred, and
Well, who do we have on the line here?
You have Wes. I don't know, I know that Ryan's not here with me, and I don't know if Steve or Greg are gonna be on, but I am here, happy to help.
Great.
Answer any questions.
Yeah, I don't think we've got anybody from Sudsina is on, but we do have Wes here. So Wes, these are the two resolutions that we need to start the bond refunding process, is that right?
That's exactly right, yeah.
Yeah, so this is authorization to do that. Wes, unless you think I should do otherwise, I don't think I'll be reading all 200 pages of these resolutions. I'll read the pertinent language summarizing what each resolution does, and then we can attach these to the minutes and make them available to the public if they want to review them in detail. Okay, so our first resolution is Resolution 2021-16, and the operating language of that would be a resolution providing for the issuance and sale of not to exceed $1,800,000 of bonds to currently refund the township's building construction bond series 2016, which were issued to pay for the construction of a new township service garage and all necessary related appurtenances and equipment. So that's our first resolution. Is there anything you think I need to add to that, Wes?
No, I mean, that's what we're doing. So,
Okay.
The resolution will be available to read, attached to the minutes, so that should be fine.
Okay.
Okay, so these are just procedural then,
These are authorizing legislation. So Wes, can you just explain to the trustees what the next step is gonna be, once, if they
Yeah.
approve these?
Yeah, so, Christina, tomorrow, will either direct you or do it himself, I'm not sure which way they're doing it. They'll send out the bid sheet for sort of just kind of an outline of the basic terms of what they're looking for in the refunded security. They'll send these to any number of banks, financial institutions, that would be interested. And then there'll be a period of time, I think the schedule, May 13th or something, or in that vicinity, when you'll receive the bids. And at that time, we'll look at all the bids that are received, pick the best one, and award the bonds to the winning institution. From then on, it'll just be a matter of closing. There's a bunch of documents that we prepare, so it'll just be logistics. At that point, we'll put together a bunch of certificates that will get to you in time to review and ask any questions, and they'll be signed. And we'll have a closing a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks after that. The bidding is accepted.
Okay.
It looks like right now we won't have to. Both of these, this is all refunding. This resolution and the following resolution. And it looks like right now there won't need to be any kind of escrow. We'll be able to refund on the day of closing. We'll be able to just direct the bond proceeds go straight to the bank and the USDA. That's who holds these two securities. Which will be, convenient for everyone, save you guys a little bit more money. There won't be any extra escrow fees. So I think that should cover most of the highlights. Happy to, if you have any questions or if I went too fast for everything, just let me know.
No, I think that's fine. Fred, do you summarize the first resolution, and I will make a motion to adopt?
Okay. I will second.
John?
Yes.
PJ?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
So the second resolution, I'll read the operative language here. A resolution providing for the issuance, this is 2021-17. A resolution providing for the issuance and sale of not to exceed $2,200,000 of bonds to currently refund the township's fire station improvement bonds, Series 2011, which were issued to pay costs of constructing, furnishing, and equipping in addition to and otherwise improve the existing township fire station.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adopt that resolution.
Second?
John?
Yes.
PJ?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Okay, and these need to be signed. Well, thank you, Wes.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Did we email those back, or do we have to mail them?
Wes, can we email these back to you?
Yeah, I can get everything by email.
Okay. We'll scan them tomorrow and send them back to you.
Thank you.
There, PJ. All right, we'll keep surging forward. Minute approval for the April 5th regular meeting. I'll make a motion to approve unless anybody has any changes or...
I do that. I'll second. This isn't.
John,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Mike?
Yes. Anything else to show the public hearing from April 5th?
Yeah, that's right, Karen, I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
John,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Mike?
Yes. Okay, scheduled reports, Chief Phillips.
Okay. 2021 call report for January to 3/31/21. Total calls for this year so far have been 191 calls. Total calls in 2020 same time is 217, so we're down by 26 calls from last year. So far it's still doing well. Fire calls, we had 79. EMS runs were 112. Mutual aid given was 24. Mutual aid received was 23. Total patients transported was, total patients is 120. Total transports was 74. Total non-transports was 46. Total transfer to another agency is 0. Total percentage of multiple calls is 18.85%. So that's it for the calls, and I put on your desk tonight a copy of our last year's financial report. John, there's one in your mailbox. If you have any questions, let us know.
Okay,
That's it for my report.
thank you, Chief. Okay, PJ?
Can I get a copy of that?
Oh, just a couple of things, got a quote for, is that quote here for the, I'm just gonna, it's maintenance, but,
I can get it if you want.
$1,000 it was to take down 2 big dead trees in the back corner of the shade side. So, they gotta go in there with a crane and take these out. And that was through, wasn't Van Kuren?
Did it begin with a Highland?
Yeah, it did. I just wanna know who it came from. Anyway, so yeah, we're well underway. I guess what we're gonna do, at least Emmerich and I were talking, unless John or Mike, you feel different. That front fence along East Washington is in pretty good state of disrepair, and we're not gonna fix it because it's all gonna be changed down there anyway, so they're gonna pull it before Memorial Day, rather than leave it in the busted up condition it is.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
we got a plan to fix it, just we're gonna do it when it makes sense. So-
Yeah, we made the road's done and they've
Yeah.
done all their damage, we'll deal with it.
Highland, okay, very good, Nancy, yeah, Highland Tree Service out of Bainbridge, tonight, like I said, they're going in with a crane, so. Big deal. $1,400. They are big, so, make a difference. Fireworks, Mike, I discussed this with you, I got a call from Christina O'Brien, and, of course, we canceled last year, we did the 2-year deal with this fight, why don't you go ahead and talk about it?
Well, I think we had originally done a 3-year contract,
Yeah,
so there would have been 2 years remaining as of last year. We canceled, so this would be the 3rd year of the contract.
we don't do it this year, we lose our money.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what we're gonna be doing is, we don't have any details yet with Bainbridge, but we will have the fireworks. We're not gonna have any of the vendors or any of the other stuff, just the fireworks. So I'm guessing, this will be where, if people want a social distance on the grass, or if they wanna sit in their cars or tailgate, we'll get the final outcome on that, but it will be just fireworks. And I believe it's going to be on July 2nd,
And the rain
so
date's
Friday.
the 3rd.
and July 3rd to be the rain day.
Yeah. That's it, she called me that morning, so, but, thank you, that's all I got.
Okay, good.
I don't have anything for you, just your regular reports. And that includes into payment listing that I have somewhere here. Well, a payment listing with a bunch of warrants on it for a bunch of money. You have that?
Well, you gave me a stack of a bunch of stuff here.
That's for payment numbers 98-2021 through 117-2021, and warrants 63-23 through 63-59, totaling $207,136.32.
I'll leave this available for you. Okay.
That's all I have.
Mr. Everly?
Yes, sir. We got the balance of salt in, so we're stocked up for next year. We'll probably use a little bit here tomorrow, but the salt, this new supplier, boy, they've really been good. And the salt comes in nice, clean, dry. It was a really a good vendor to have, and so I hope that they win the next contracts with ODOT. Right now, we did buy more, the 10% over, so we'll pretty much handle. I think we've got almost 2,000 tons in the dome there, so that's a good thing. Sometime here we should be getting our truck, and when we do, we'll put the other one up for sale on Gov Deals, unless anybody has an objection to that.
No, we've done pretty well with them so far.
Uh-huh. And I hope we're gonna, Mike's really done a phenomenal job. He knows how to word that bid and everything, and he did a nice job. Other than that, our roads are in remarkable good shape. We really don't have a whole lot of patches to do, and I'm very, very pleased by that. Compared to what we used to do, 8 years ago, we're just where we were buying, $100,000 of asphalt for patching. We're just not doing that now, and so very, very happy with that. Everything is going really well with that Stafford Road project, and I think we need to give Emmerich a good attaboy, because he really laid that groundwork here in the last year for us, visiting with all the residents, and it's allowing this project to move on pretty smoothly. So, but that's what we have. Everybody's doing a good job. John is going to be off for a couple weeks. He had his hip replaced, his other hip, and so he's actually going to recover. And he took a week of his vacation to do that recovery as well. So hopefully it's going to work out as well as the first one did for him, and he won't have to limp quite so much. So other than that, all's going pretty well. We do have the roadside cleanup coming up. I'm sure nobody's forgotten that.
Nope, that'll be this Saturday at 9 to noon.
That's right. And we have the usual kind of little picnic that we're going to provide with the hot dogs, chips, and some drinks.
We got bags, Nancy?
And then don't forget.
Pardon? Do we have what?
Bags for cleanup day?
I'm getting them tomorrow.
Getting them tomorrow, okay.
I don't know what you want to do
Do what, Jack? We were talking.
Oh, you weren't listening to me?
No,
No,
we were
sorry.
talking about bags and whatnot from Jog of Trumbull, so, they're coming
Our
tomorrow.
Chinese cleanup day, when do you wanna have it?
Oh, the
How
clean.
about the first Saturday in May, I mean in June?
The
That
large
would be-
item,
That
yeah,
would
hey,
be unique.
well, first time.
We're
It's
already
the first
getting
time we've had
calls
it
from
in a couple
seniors.
You're a senior citizen, you need to be calling in to the Department of Aging.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can do that first Saturday of June. Actually, we had one in September last year, and nobody died of COVID, so I think that was successful.
Yeah, I think we'll be all right on that. Anything else, Mr. Everly?
That's it, sir.
Okay, once again, Saturday, 4/24, 9 to noon for the roadside pickup. 5/30/21, our Memorial Day observance ceremony, 9 a.m. in Maple Shade Cemetery. 6/3 and 6/4, senior resident trash pickup. Pre-registration will be required, and that'll be through the Department of Aging. And then large item drop-off day will be June 5th. Public comment. Everybody's getting tired. Okay, on that, I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
John,
Yeah.
PJ,
Yep.
Mike,
Yes. Use my Medicare bills.
what's that?
You lose my Medicare bill?
Diane has a question, I
Who'd
think.
you give it
Oh.
to?
Jack. Oh, not that Diane. Diane Ryder, I think.
Oh,
Hi, Mike. About the fireworks, how much do you pay, what's the amount of money is in the contract?
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear
The
it.
fireworks.
oh.
How much the fireworks cost?
Typically, well, from what I remember, and again, we had some other expenses in there. The fireworks themselves, don't quote me, were in the neighborhood of $13,000, I believe. And then we were responsible for roughly a third of that.
I'm sorry, was that, so it's 13,000 over 3 years?
No, 1 year.
1 year, okay. All right, so you lost out the 13,000 from last
Yes, sir.
year because of canceling, right?
That's both townships, Diane.
Okay, all right,
Yeah, that's not just Auburn, that's Auburn and Baker.
okay, good.
You know, like I said, our cut's in the neighborhood of $6,000.
Oh, okay, oh, school pictures.
But you may want to contact Bainbridge, because they will know exactly how much we're gonna have to pay this year, because there was a lot of
Right,
changes going on.
okay, I'm gonna ask Christina anyway, so I can write down this. And it'll be at the high school, is that correct?
Yes, same place, yep. Just not gonna have the pre-party.
Will there be provisions for parking? Will you have enough to the sheriff's department here for parking or anything like that?
I think Bainbridge,
Huh?
Bainbridge handled that, didn't they?
Cambridge PD
Yeah,
handled
Bainbridge
that.
handles all of that. We're just kind of peripheral and pay for a third of the thing. We usually supply, our firemen supply usually a squad and
Grass buggy.
the grass buggy. And then the Bainbridge Police and Fire Department are involved. And I think they coordinate with the Sheriff's Department for, do they do any sheriff's,
Sheriff comes out also,
yeah,
as well as REACT helps to deal with the parking.
right.
Oh, okay. Great. Okay, that's really all I need.
No, this Thursday.
Thank you very much.
You know, if they do, I wonder if they do, do they use Gardner for parking too? Not
No.
Gardner,
No.
I mean KCE. I'm just
No.
wondering if everybody ends up staying in
No,
their cars.
See if
What
They
if
blo-
every-
They block off
We'll see if
the
there's
KCE,
Sounds good.
Gardner area, That's blocked off. They
Thanks,
didn't let
guys.
anybody in there last year. Now, they may change it this year because.
That's
of
what
the
I'm
thing.
wondering, if everybody stays in their
But
cars.
historically, no, they wouldn't let anybody in there.
They might even be able to come to our, watch it from our
That's
car.
where I watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I watch them.
Yeah, we usually
They
get some
make that
people that do
recommendation.
go up to the park.
Good night, gentlemen.
See you, Fred.
Where are you going so fast?
He's out of
Got
here.
a hot date.
What's that?
Said I got a hot date.
We were saying goodbye to Fred.
Hi, Fred.
Oh.
I just wondered if they
Remember
don't.
last week when I faxed over my Medicare?
You didn't fax it.